Hey everybody, Mike Cayley 7 here. One-legged. This is how I get around the house now, because I find the crutches to be rather cumbersome. There are my fluffies. Alright. Check it out. For you Polar Bear Challenge folks. Look at this, huh? Isn't this something? I don't know if you can see this actually. It is snowing on, I believe, December 4th or 5th. I can't remember what day exactly it is. But we actually have snow in North Carolina at the beginning of December. I don't believe that this happened last year or in any previous year that I've been here. God, I wish I could get on my motorcycle. What is the spirit of the Polar Bear Challenge?
Well, I think this one may be quite different from Mike. I'm not really sure because I haven't heard his response, and hopefully before I explain this, he'll make his too, so he doesn't rely on what I have to say. But the spirit of the Polar Bear Challenge, to me, first and foremost, is to try to get better each year and to develop more cold riding skills. I always like, as a motorcyclist, if I can add another skill set to my riding, like being able to go over small obstacles with your bike, being able to do different maneuvers, being able to lean over hard. Cold weather riding skills is a very serious skill, and it could really help you out in the past if you're forced to have to use your motorcycle in cold weather, that you know how to do it. You know the problems you're going to have with starting your bike, the problems with the gear you're going to have to wear, the problem with equipment operating properly. So to me, first and foremost, the spirit of the Polar Bear Challenge is getting another skill set. It's not necessarily, to me, about being number one in a category, beating anybody, or anything like that. And second most important, before the actual categories and the placing yourself to, is making the friends and having new people to hang around with and talk to. Since the last Polar Bear Challenge, obviously you guys know, I've gone down to Mike's house and met him. Navy Thomas and I have hung out together. I've talked with Red and White Rebel, Larry the Lookout. I mean, I've made all kinds of friends just as a result, and many, many more. I mean, one Jillian, I could just keep naming them off, but I don't have time. But it's about the camaraderie and the making friends for the challenge. And then only the very last thing is I think about, and not that I'm not serious about too, but as the very last thing, in my case, I want to go for the lowest temperature. But you know what? If somebody seriously wants to do it hard and they've got the advantage of the weather where they live, I'd say go for it, because I don't want to win because somebody thinks they're going to hurt my feelings or something like that. I urge everybody to give me a challenge and make me, pay for it if I'm not able to do it. And it's the luck of the draw, the luck of the weather. So that's totally cool. If I don't get low enough temperature and somebody else gets it, fine, absolutely fine with me. Fourth question.
Well, spirit for me is the personal challenge to oneself. Can you ride in really cold weather? When everybody else is putting their bikes away for the winter and saying, it's too cold to ride, it's too cold to ride. You get out there and you see nobody else on the road, very few cars even, compared to summertime. And you're able to ride for miles and miles and have a good time doing it and enjoy yourself and feel proud of yourself for having done it. I think that's the purpose of the Polar Bear Challenge. So for me, it's not really necessarily about winning. It's just about having fun in the cold weather and proving that you can do it, and that riding doesn't have to be, for some people, it's too cold to ride, just in the warm weather. I'm lucky in North Carolina that we don't get a whole lot of snow, so the roads don't get all salty. There's not a whole lot of ice on the roads because in the wintertime we don't get a whole lot of rain either, so it's generally pretty dry, and the cold air is, maybe 27, 28 degrees most of the time, which kind of stinks if you want to get down to lower temperatures to challenge yourself. But anyway, I really enjoy riding in the cold weather. I hate the heat. For any of you folks who like riding in 117 degree heat index, go for it. I'm not that. I'm wimpy that way. But for cold, oh yeah. Okay, and the final question. How did this all get started?
And I was hoping to bring up, I looked through my drawer and I could not find, but I had about 6 printed sheets of paper when Mike first told me about this idea, and he sent me the idea for the rules of the very first Polar Bear Challenge. There were 6 printed sheets of paper of rules and regulations and things to keep track of, and it was something else the way this started. And so I wrote him back right away and I said, Mike, we really do, especially for the first year, We need to keep this simple. We need to make the rules simple enough to where somebody doesn't have to carry a paper with them. They can just know in their mind. And basically, the rules last year, and I think this year they're going to be easy enough to remember too when they're all finalized. But basically, it was just a 3-minute ride, 32 degrees or below, and that was basically 90% of what you had to keep track of, and you pretty much had it as far as doing your rides. And then you would just, if you did enough rides, you'd win the day's category. If you went low temperature enough, you'd win the low temperature category, etc. So anyway, that's the way it started, but it was going to be a very complex thing with a lot of paperwork to keep track of, and I knew as a judge I wasn't going to be able to handle that the way it was laid out. So I don't know, maybe sometime in the future Mike can get a chance to be a judge for the Polar Bear Challenge, and we'll see what he comes up with as far as that. I don't think really if it becomes much bigger than it is, he's going to want to keep track of all that 6 pages of paperwork he had going there. So anyway, that's about all I can think about now. So hopefully Mike will be able to put this together with his responses too, and we'll see how it comes out, how each of us view the Polar Bear Challenge from our standpoint. Last question. How did this all get started?
Well, this happened 2 years ago. I saw that it was getting cold outside, and I really wanted to push myself to see how cold I could ride in and still survive. So in January, I believe it was, of last year, not last year, 2 years ago, I saw that the temperature was 18 degrees outside, so I got all my gear on and I rode to school, and I was very proud of myself. I even made a little video, which if I can, I'll try to put in this. Well, here we are on January, 16th. Yeah, it's January 16th. And the temperature this morning is 18 degrees. I hope you can hear this because I'm kind of muffled, as you will be able to see very shortly. There we go. Hi, folks. I'm insane, I know. As you can see, I'm going to be riding the bike today with no windshield in 18-degree weather. To prepare for this, I have, excuse me. To prepare for this, I've got on Under Armour. I've got on multiple layers of shirts, sweaters. I have Under Armour sweaters too. I've got the gloves with liners. I've got the Thinsulate gloves with also liners. So we'll see how this works out. I've actually got even a double face protector because I have a half helmet. So let's see how this insane journey goes. So that's how it got started. And the motivation to do all this, like I said before, is to see how cold you can ride in. See how far you can go in that cold. It's a personal challenge. That's pretty much it. And it actually kind of makes me happy when I am riding down the road in the cold. And maybe I look over at a cager, and the cager's looking at me like, what the heck is that guy doing? And I just kind of, yeah, I know, I'm a nut. So anyway, that's the purpose. And I'm kind of heartbroken, as you may have noticed, because I have a broken leg. And, well, can't ride in my favorite season, which sucks. Which sucks. The other thing was last year when I came to the idea of Polar Bear Challenge, I thought, well, geez, I enjoy riding in the cold. Maybe other people enjoy riding in the cold too. So I was talking to Chuck, and I said, hey, Chuck, I got this idea. Why don't we make some kind of challenge or competition or something? He said, don't call it a competition. I said, okay, let's make a challenge where people ride in cold weather to see who can ride in the coldest. Because I always do it anyway. I like riding in the cold. It didn't matter to me if it was for an official reason, but I thought I would like to see other people's videos riding in cold weather. And he said, that's a really awesome idea. I think it'll take off. And he asked me to write up some rules or categories and things. And so, being a teacher, I did. And as Chuck said, it was about 6 pages long. Anyway, I had a good time writing that up. And apparently, none of it really worked very well. But Chuck was the savior of this thing. Came up with really simple rules because he's done this before and I never had. And so it worked out. The Polar Bear Challenge took off. And I got to see all kinds of other people's videos from around the world, and people in snow and all kinds of crazy conditions. Of course, riding as safely as possible. I mean, NT8, Navy Thomas 8, his gear situation is absolutely awesome. And he's fallen down on that bike a few times in the snow and no problem at all. Whereas I fall down in a parking lot at 10 miles an hour on the gravel and kaboom! Anyway, so that's pretty much it. My thanks to Chuck for his invaluable help in making the Polar Bear Challenge possible. And this year to Navy Thomas 8, to the Happy Thought, and also to Loud Pipes for making this challenge possible this year. And I hope to see many more people riding and having fun and staying safe out there. And I'll be back on the road as soon as I can. February 1st, they say I can walk. PT, whatever, physical therapy. And then, once I can hold the bike up and be safe, I'll be out there. You watch. I might get a video in at cold weather. We'll see. So, take care. Ride safe. I miss you, bike. I'm crazy.